Hey man, when there's opportunities, even though sometimes you don't know that you're supposed to do it, but
So,
then you
so
make
I
it
mean, it's
happen. You
totally.
make
Let
it
me say
work.
something.
Yeah.
This was not sexy. Okay, it was like key box was like messed up. Like it was not like it was not like how I operate Airbnbs
Yeah.
now. But I just figured it out, and people would stay and like. But you have to understand something. I had almost 15 years of hospitality experience, so I looked at it as another form of hospitality. You're creating a space for somebody.
All right, guys, welcome again to another amazing episode. Today we have Austin Linney, former service industry veteran, 20 plus years, serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, mindset, business coach, you name it, all around amazing guy. And today we're just gonna get into it. He has a lot of experience at Airbnb and real estate, but we're gonna talk a little bit more about overcoming your limiting beliefs and a lot of challenges. He has his own podcast, Constructed Life. Take a listen if you haven't. Really inspiring stories on there. But we're gonna get right into it. So, Austin, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you know what's going on in your life and how you've overcome and how you're now succeeding in life and helping others through coaching.
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all having me on, boys. Guys, I'm gonna gloss over a long story really quick because I
Yeah.
want to talk more about passive income and how you can generate freedom and mindset stuff. But long story short, my dad's a doctor. Grew up in a affluent neighborhood in Houston, Texas. Um, about it's just getting in a lot of trouble in high school. Wasn't really like school didn't really do it for me. It wasn't really my bag. And I had a friend's dad who had a couple businesses, and I remember like it was yesterday. We were at his house playing basketball or something, and he said, "Listen, I met you a couple times. You're a different cat." He said, "Read this book. I think this book is gonna change your life, and get back to me." And sure enough, that book was Rich Dad Poor Dad, and
Yeah.
it was the first time that I realized that I didn't have to be a doctor. Um, and that was hard for me because the stress of that, even though maybe it wasn't directed towards my father, it was on me, right? My dad was a very successful doctor, and I was like, shit, there's another way. And so it was like a lot of people say, the book doesn't handle the tactical stuff, but it just opens the mind to different possibilities. And so I knew there was something different. Um, I worked in the restaurant business as a young kid at 17, uh, bartending, serving, and that business leads you to drugs. It just does. It's maybe not as much as it was, but when I was coming up, like I always tell everybody a story. The way I got trained there on the first day was like the trainer walked around and was like, "Well, you can get Xanax from that guy, cocaine from that guy." Like that's the training.
What?
Like yeah, it was like real. That was real, man. And when I was 17, my parents got divorced out of the blue. And that kind of really threw me for a loop. I went with my mom to the country, um, and I just was really lost. Like I feel like we talked about this when I had y'all on my like. I think that from like 17 to 19, I think a lot of kids are just kind of, I wouldn't say screwed, but mishandled, right? Like maybe you don't want to go to college, maybe you do, but the route doesn't seem as clear as like go to college, get a job, right? And so
Yeah.
I knew I wanted something different, but the scary thing was is I was making pretty damn good money. I was making like 1,400 bucks a week, you know, and I thought I was like, dude, my shit don't stink. Like I was going to Jamaica, like it was great, right? Um, but then some choices, deciding to get involved in methamphetamines, and then pissing off my parents enough to cut me off and throw my shit out on the front steps and. I had nowhere to live. I had no job. I had no car. I had nothing. I literally had nothing. I cried for like 3 hours. I had a great friend pick me up, and he was like, kind of slapped me around and was like, "Dude, get it together. We're gonna figure this out." And my best friend at the time, his brother, um, he had a house that everybody lived in. They had their room. He's like, "Listen, I don't got much, but you can stay here. Like, just keep your fucking mouth shut. Work. Like, you're good." So I literally slept underneath the closet and the stairs. Like I was literally like, it's not a joke. It's not a euphemism. Like I slept in the closet on a single mattress with a fan. And so then I got a job working construction, and saved up enough money to buy a car, which in turn got me my restaurant job back, and basically eventually kicked the hard drugs, but still proceeded to drink for the next 20 years.
Gotcha. No, well, that's a crazy story, man. And one thing I'll take away from that is sometimes in life that adversity builds who you truly are, right? And we all need it. Comfort's a drug itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that you were in an affluent kind of neighborhood. You probably were lost, didn't know school, didn't know college, this and that. Sometimes too much of that thinking, and I see it a lot because I see the difference of people, gets people into trouble. Start looking into different avenues to occupy their time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when your back is against the wall, like you did towards the end, you had to figure it out. You got yourself out of that mess,
Mm-hmm.
and you overcame it. And I commend you for that, man, because I think it's a huge thing.
What's interesting is I never shared this on a podcast, and to any parent out there, and to anybody that's struggling with addiction or just anything in general, I've never shared this. A couple years after I got sober from the hard drugs, like 3 years later, me and mom were sitting around at Christmas, and my mom looked at me dead in the face, and she goes, "You're unaware because we didn't speak during this time." But she's like, "I cried every night, like every night. Where's my fucking son? Is he dead? Is he alive?" And she goes, "That was the hardest thing I've ever done as a parent." And I looked at her dead in the face and I go, "There was no other way. I wasn't going to listen. I'm stubborn as shit. You had to cut me off." And sometimes in life, you have to, there has to be hard conversations.
Yeah,
And it's up to the person in front of them. I do this with my coaching clients. I can give you the options and I can be there for you, but I can't do the work for you.
yeah.
You
And
know?
it's amazing that you can recognize that, man. It speaks volumes about your character that you can recognize that your parents absolutely had to take the hardest line with you in
Mhm.
order for something else
For
to come
sure.
out about you, right? Because a lot of people through their journey and whatever it may be, drugs, alcohol, you name it, are resentful for life, right?
Well,
And so don't
because
get
because they don't want to take ownership.
ownership.
That's true. Yeah.
That's perfect, man. But I love the story, man. I huge success in that, and congrats. And I mean, so let's talk a little bit more about how you went from out of that, you know, and then became a success more in life, and then continued growing success, right? Because we never ultimately reached that success. I always like to think of it that we're growing as people. But then you went into real estate, you went into other business and coaching. How
Yeah.
did you get into all that?
So what happened was is I was making good money in the restaurant business, and you can make a very comfortable living. Um, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And tell me if anybody's had this. I was 29. I had the best year of my life financially in the restaurant business. I got a new job at a great restaurant. We were making crazy money. I was making like literally like 5,200 to 7,500 a month as a waiter, like just crazy good money. And I got to the end and I did my taxes, and I did my taxes. I saw what we made per the entire year. And then I opened up my phone to look at my bank account, and I had no money. And I was like, something,
Yeah.
something's off of whack. And then I looked in the driveway. I saw the Jeep I wanted, which was $400, and I saw my wife at the time's Dodge Ram that was $400. And then I looked at our insurance, and then I started going through all the bills, and I was like, some shit's out of whack. Like this is not good. Like I got this good job. This is an opportunity for me to really seize this cash flow that I can make from this job. So I'm not kidding you when I say that. My ex-wife is a ball buster too, and she don't mess around. She sold her car within the hour. Literally, like sold it to a friend. I sold my car 2 hours later to somebody that wanted it, and I rode the bus for 2 years to work. And we saved in that one moment $1,400 a month for parking, insurance, and the car notes and gas. So we turned
Nice.
it around like that quick. And I literally would take the bus to work for 2 years and walked the other half mile there. And I saved up $31,000 in a year and a half.
Wow,
Awesome.
Yeah.
that's amazing, brother.
I think those
And-
moments of desperation is what makes you shift your life to where you want to be. Because you feel stuck and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm living a good life, and by living a good life, I mean like you obtaining all this material stuff. You're probably having too much fun, but at the end of the day, yeah, like you said, you take that pause and then you look around and you're like, okay, but I don't have anything. I can't
Mhm.
account for anything that I have right now. And then you take that sacrifice for a year or two or whatever time that it is, but then you go straight to your vision. um, and yeah, you get uncomfortable with a direction now. So
Mhm.
that's pretty important. That's pretty cool.
Because and just so we're clear, it wasn't roses. I mean, it took us 6 years to buy a property. We had so many deals fall through, like 6 or 7 at the like 2 days before closing, 3 days before closing, a week through, FHA loan, or there's so many different factors, right? So, you're starting to feel this desperation of like, I'm never going to close a deal. And so I'll kind of speed through part of the story and then we'll get what to happen. So we decided that we were over Austin. Like, we were done. Like, I didn't want to be there anymore. Like, I didn't like the way what it was turning into. So I looked at her one breakfast and I said, Dallas, Dallas, Nashville, or Denver, pick one. We're going in like the end of the month. And she said Nashville. And so we went, right? And we went there for like 14 months and we hated it. We hated every aspect of it. I think Nashville is an amazing investment city. I think the people that live there are good, but it just didn't work for us. Like,
Yeah.
maybe the time in our life wasn't where we needed to be. I don't think I knew who I was. There's a lot of reasons. But long story short, we come back to Texas, and the day before she quit her job, the day before we moved back to Texas, they called and was like, "Would you like to run the San Antonio branch of your company? We need somebody." Well, shit, we already have an apartment in Austin. So I'm like, shit. So then she goes and lives with her brother, and I'm in Austin working because I already had a job. Well, I was spending the weekends down there, and I had this apartment I was paying for, and I was like, "Listen, we've traveled on Airbnb. This can't be that hard. Like, let me just figure this out." So I'm like, I'm not there, so we might as well make money while I'm not there. And so like, I just kind of like listed it, like took some shitty photos, and I started making money. And I was like, hold on, hold on. I'm hanging out with my wife in San Antonio, drinking mimosas and hanging out, and I'm making money over here. And that's when the light bulb went off, and I was like,
Okay.
I can do this. Yeah, go ahead.
So let me go back because this is the aha moment, right?
Yeah.
Let's just break it down. What year was this?
This was maybe like 2014, maybe.
Okay, so
Maybe,
2014. And
Mhm.
this apartment that you're talking about that you were listing on Airbnb, was it
Which I shouldn't
yours?
have been. Which I
Okay,
shouldn't
that's
have been.
where.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, but you have to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah,
And when you
yeah.
don't know, you don't know. And
Hey, it was a studio apartment. It was
uh-huh.
330 square feet.
And this was yours, or was it like you were renting?
It was a lease I got off of Craigslist for 4 months, and it was $800 a month. And I got it because I got a job. Because you have to understand, the busy times in Austin to make money in the restaurant business is spring and fall. So this was right in busy season. I already had a job I walked into, so it was time to make money. And I didn't have a job in San Antonio, so I was like, I'm just gonna work where I know people. And so I got it. So we're like, shit. So now she's down there, and I still have to pay for this apartment, and so on and so on.
Nice,
Mhm.
nice. Hey man, when there's opportunities, even though sometimes you don't know that you're supposed to do it, but
So,
then you
I
make it
mean, it's
happen.
totally. Let me say something.
Yeah.
This was not sexy. Okay, it was like key box was like messed up. Like like it was not like it was not like how I operate Airbnbs
Yeah.
now. But I just figured it out, and people would stay and like. But you have to understand something. I had almost 15 years of hospitality experience, so I looked at it as another form of hospitality. You're creating a space for somebody. Austin's so hot at the moment. People just want a place to stay. They don't care. Whatever. So, long story short, the apartment finds out I'm doing it, and they're like, "Listen, no, like, no, on so many levels, and we're gonna write, we're gonna like all this stuff." I said, "Listen." I said, "Listen, listen." I said, "I got 2 more weeks. I'll shut it down. Let's not do anything. I apologize. Let's just call it what it is." She goes, "Okay, okay. I'd rather not do the paperwork. Let's just let you go." But it was still there, right? It was
Yeah.
still there.
Yeah.
So, dude, I haven't shared this story. So we go to buy a house. We're we're 4 days from closing on the house. It's perfect. So on so many levels. And I was so sick of my job in Austin. I hated the people I worked for. I like hated it so bad.
You still
And I,
doing restaurant?
yeah, still doing restaurants. So I've got an interview for a career job selling liquor. And I'm like, dude, this is the job I've wanted my entire life. Like, I get to go around and sell liquor. I was on my eighth interview. Like, they said, you got the job. Everything's great. Okay. I had the last interview on Saturday. On Friday, I said, fuck it. I'm quitting the job. Nobody's going to find out. The mortgage guys aren't going to find out I quit my job. I quit my job. I go down to San Antonio. I go to the interview on Saturday. I'm in the interview with the regional manager. I'm in there for a minute. I mean, a minute. And I looked at her and go, "You're not giving me the job, are you?" And she goes, "Nope, not a chance in hell." And I literally just stood up and walked out because I knew it wasn't happening. She had somebody else in mind, or like a family member or something. Found out it was a family member later on, but that's a whole nother story. But I walked outside and I'm just like defeated. But I'm like, okay, we got this house. It's cool. And then I'm driving on Monday morning and I get a call from the mortgage broker. "We found out that you quit your job.
Oh man.
We're pulling the loan." The deal died
Wow.
right there. So I lost the career job, my regular job, and I lost the house in the same weekend.
Wow, man, that's extreme. Oh,
So
because you quit it, you yeah.
because I quit.
Yeah.
Because what did
Yeah.
I do? I got caught up with expectations of what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, long story short, ex-wife was not happy by any stretch of the imagination. She said, "Listen, find us a house right now. Like, I don't care, rent it, whatever we got to do." So I looked on Zillow. I just pulled up a house and said, "I'll rent this. Let's go. 6 months. I don't even need to look at it." So I rented it. I licked my wounds and I called my agent again. And I was running and I talked to him and I said, "Hey, man, we had that bad thing happen. I got another job again. Let's start it up again." He says this to me. This son of a bitch. I swear to God. Sorry, I don't know if I can cuss on this thing, but
You're
he
good.
said, "Maybe you should wait 2 years to buy again." Man, I was fired. I was mad. I was like, "You're my agent. Like, I get it." So I go to work like really mad, and what happens? But that night I wait on the dude who's like super drunk on his anniversary. Like, drunk, funny as hell, like we get along really well. And I tell him that story, and he goes, "Well, it just so happens that I'm a real estate agent, and one of my best friends is a mortgage broker who loves to work with bartenders and restaurant people." And I'm like, "Loaded up, baby. Let's go." So I go meet with them, and she's like, "Oh, don't worry. We can get this cleared up. You're good. We'll explain it all." So from that meeting to a month later, I had a pre-approval on a loan, and we went house shopping. Now, I wanted a house so bad that I bought the house without going into it.
No,
Like,
wow.
I
Oh
was like,
man.
I don't like, the numbers look good. I knew the area. I felt like it was going to appreciate. I said, "No, let's just, whatever." And my agent at the time was from a rich area. And he goes, "Dude, this is the worst part of town. Like, do not buy this house." He's like, "You are going to have the most expensive property for like 3 years." And I'm like, I'm cool. It's still $135,000. It's a house that's done nicely. And he goes, fine. She wants 145. I said, okay, well, what's, 75 bucks on a loan over the span of 30 years? I don't care. Give her what she wants. I'm not going to lose the house over it. So I gave it to her. Well, it appraised at 135. So we closed on the house. That house in 2 years went up to $275,000.
Nice.
So it's like, you don't know, man. Sometimes you just have to respect your numbers and just get around the right team, right?
Yeah.
When you had the right people pulling for you, and I would imagine that y'all feel the same way in your business. When you have the mortgage broker, the property manager, the agent are all on the same team and they're in the battle together instead of fighting against you.
Yeah.
Themes,
Whole different story.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And agents can be that way, especially when they don't see anything in it for them. It can quickly die. The relationship can quickly die. Yeah. So I'm glad you found someone better.
Yeah, and he's still a friend. I mean, he's
Yeah.
he's like one of my best friends. Like him and his wife.
Nice.
Like
Yeah.
and like you don't know that the universe, right, is setting yourself up for something better. Because to finish off the story with a bow, because if I would have got that other house, guess what I bought also besides that house? The house across the street, and I picked it up for $50,000.
Nice.
If I wouldn't have bought that house, I wouldn't have got that house. So
So is that where the story and the business that you have right now currently, is that where everything started?
100%, everything started from there. Yeah,
From that
everything.
opportunity?
And from all that opportunity, and what happened was we started renting out one of the rooms in the house with the air mattress. And I made like $7,000 in like 6 months. And I was like, maybe we can do a little better. Maybe we can like add like I don't know, a trundle bed and like get it a little more proper.
Yeah.
And so then at that time my wife got a promotion and she moved to Houston to work for a regional manager. So it's just me and the dog in a 1,400 square foot house. And I'm working 90 hours a week. And I'm thinking to myself, what about the whole house? Can you rent out? Can you rent out the entire house? Is that a thing? And I'm like, I think you can. So then I like start like taking pictures, and I threw it up there, and it rented in like 30 minutes.
Wow.
And I was like, uh-oh, we got something here. And so what happened was my buddy at the time was a bartender. He had a 2-bedroom apartment with nothing in the back room. And so I threw down an air mattress and I took the dog with me, and that's where we slept when people rented out the whole house. And that's how we did it the first year. Is I just rented out the house on the weekends, and I wound up making like $14,000.
So
Wow.
for the people that me that look at Airbnb as I mean, in real estate is location, 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 right? When it
Yep.
comes to Airbnb, and you're telling me that this house is not in the best neighborhood, right?
Mhm.
Um, and you think about Airbnb, or probably somebody's in the same situation where they're trying to look at some kind of opportunity. Um, do I need to buy a condo, or do I need to buy a house, or do I need to buy some type of property in a good location where it's touristic and people need? Do I need that? Do I need to start that way or not?
You know, I heard something that changed my life in pertaining to Airbnb. Is if you hide the negatives of your property and people are surprised, they'll be upset. If you present your problems out front or your negatives of your property and they're not surprised, then they'll be okay.
Mm.
And here's what I did have. My house was beautiful. It was really well done. It was open. It was big. But there was so much construction going on in the neighborhood that when people came in, they might have been apprehensive for a minute, but then they go, oh, we can see it changing, right? And also I was 7 blocks from downtown. So it was kind of like a win-win. Now, that being said, I just put out a post the other day. The problem with Airbnb is every property needs to be the data needs to be done separately because you can't compare properties. And what I mean by that is you could have a 3-bedroom house in San Diego that crushes it, but the mortgage and the bills are like $8,000, so you only make $200 a month. And then you have my property across the street. We're all in with mortgage and bills. We were in for $575 a month, and that house did $3,000 a month, and it was only 700 square feet. So that
Nice.
property's netting $2,200. So that's the problem with Airbnb, and more importantly, the weirder, the better. I know that sounds really crazy for people to say, but like the novelty of the aspect, meaning a teepee, a shipping container, is what gets people to book it. A tiny home, stuff like that. So like the problem with a 3-2 house is there's so many 3-2 houses that you're
Yeah.
basically splitting hairs. So what's the innate ability of your property to be different, right? And so I think that's where like a fourplex comes in, where you can rent out the entire unit to a wedding party or a group of people that are visiting for the weekend. You know, there's so many different aspects of it. You really have to look at the property, property for property, right?
Mm.
Man, that's great. That's great info. Yeah, we never really dived into Airbnb, but how does the market look right now for Airbnb with everything going on?
It's a choppy waters out there, boys. It's you ever watch the movie Perfect Storm? Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
like that. But hear me out though. A lot of the people that were had their toe in the water got destroyed.
Yeah.
So the oversaturation is a little bit gone. But what you need to understand also about the market is there's a lot of new people getting in that think that they're going to get 5 to 6 times their mortgage. Can that happen? Guaranteed. But those days are way longer gone than most of the time. And there'll always be a market for it. But my question to you is the difference. I'll give you this. I'll give you this. And people will think I'm crazy when I say this. I would rather manage a 150 unit apartment than 10 Airbnbs.
Yeah. I
That's how
agree.
much work. That's how much work it is. You're running a hotel in a property
Yeah.
that doesn't turn off. So, but that being said, I just saw a video from a guy in one of my groups. Him and his wife got financially free from 3 Airbnbs. From 3. So now are they cleaning them themselves? I don't know. But it can be done if you bought it right and it's in an area that, like, perfect example. This is what really blew me away. This is what changed the game for me. But understand that other months aren't as good as this. But we had the Final Four and spring break in Texas happen. The Final Four was 5 blocks from my house, right? In the San Antonio Spurs basketball. 1 month, I brought in $22,000 between 3 properties.
Well,
That's great. But guess
It's
what?
amazing.
In August, I brought in like $1,800 between the 3 properties. So it's a river. You know, it's going up and down. So you have to protect your backside and then hold on to the money in the good months. But it can be used as a cash machine
Yeah.
if you know how to work it and you're not 100% hands on.
yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, like I have a buddy, right? He's down in Miami, and over time, he's there's a 46 unit. He's bought every unit. Like he bought like 20 at a time, and so now he owns the whole building, and they're all Airbnb or corporate leases, the whole thing. And he loves it because he bought it so well, and he has systems in place, and it runs great. But like maybe that's not what everybody else wants to do, but like
Yeah.
he loves it because he's getting double the money on some of the places. But there's also like COVID hit and he's like it was rough there for a couple months, you know,
Yeah.
even in Florida, right? But he had made so much money that he could, you know, he could ride
You
it
get rid
out.
of the
But
storm. Yeah.
So what I'm taking out of this is you still have to have discipline Not just
Thousand
because
percent.
you're making so much money, that doesn't mean that the winter is not going to come or
Mm-hmm.
things like COVID are going to hit. And then you're like, oh my God, now now I got to come out of mortgage and
Mm-hmm.
insurance and taxes out of pocket. So yeah, you have to
Yes.
be disciplined and keep a budget and treat it as a business.
Yeah, and it's a business. But that being said,
Mm-hmm.
here's the great thing. So you can put an LLC on every property and you can write off everything: electric bill, furnishing, toilet paper. So technically, you're operating a business with inside a property. So then you can write off on your taxes. So it's a great tax avenue as well. But understand that you're also going to pay taxes on all the gross because they're not counting the net money. And see,
Mm-hmm.
that's my concern with wholesalers too. Is wholesalers only show one number. What do they show? The gross.
The growth.
But the problem is I coach some wholesalers and I know the real numbers and the profit margins are very slim. And so you're 100% right. Discipline is the key because if you feel too good about yourself, then COVID happens or something happens or they change the Airbnb laws in your city.
Yeah, that's a whole game changer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels like it's a water hose that can be turned off and turned on very quickly. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's been my biggest hesitation because I've thought about it. I have a property in Colorado Springs.
Now here's a strategy that
Yeah.
I would employ. Here's a strategy I would employ, and I'm mainly talking to you two because I look at your life. Is you as brothers who are invest together and work together. If you were to earmark 3 cities that you love to hang out in, and you were to buy a property, and you were to have a management team run it while you're not there, and it was, and you were, and your whole goal was to break even, but I get to enjoy that home 3 times a year. That's the business model I would do.
That's
Because then
nice.
you get to get your vacation house. You don't have to wait 20 years. You can have it right now. So that's what I try to tell people.
Okay.
Yeah, might have to do that in Florida.
Yeah, just let me know. I'll be just make sure there's a wing for me down there too. So.
Oh yeah, man.
It'll be
I love it.
it'll
Yeah.
be like the w- Scarface mansion
Yes. Yes. I like it.
So
with the
Perfect.
pillars.
as you grew on the Airbnb business, I know. I mean, we know because we spoke before and we see your social media and all that stuff. But for our audience and the people that want to learn more about Airbnb and how you've been growing, now you have a coaching
Mhm.
platform, right? Where you coach
Sure.
people, you train people
Mhm.
on different aspects. Can you talk about that? Where the idea came from, and how long you started it?
You know, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you're talking to your friends, you're giving advice to the people that you work with. They're like, man, your advice is really good. And like, so for 2 years ago, I got sober. It'd probably be like 2 years in a month, and I started losing weight. I've lost like 50 pounds, 60 pounds. Really like changed my life around. Got divorced. All these things, right, have happened, and I'm helping people. And then my coach said, like, you have a gift. You should really like lean into it. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And I was working private equity while I was running the Airbnb business, and then I got laid off from the private equity, and it almost forced me to like look at myself and say, maybe this is your path, right? And I had a good buddy who's a broker who wasn't happy with his like relationship with his wife. He wasn't happy with his health, and he said, I want to pay you to coach me. I was like, what? No, I can't. That's weird. No, I can't. I was like, maybe I can. So like the first session, I gave it to him for free, and I was like, okay, like this works. I can do this. So he pays me, and then another guy pays me, and then I'm like, okay, well I need to like really care about this. Like I need to like pay attention to what I'm doing. So then I go get some training from corporate coaches and kind of get my business systems together and like make sure that I'm doing the inner work that I need to address people's problems and stuff. And it kind of just took off. And what I found, and this is really hard for me to say because this is an investment I'm always going to invest, right? I'm always going to do something. We're going to have a brokerage, or I'm always going to do something because I'm a businessman. But it's really the only thing I care about, because being able to be in somebody's life and affect real change and be bought into who they are as a person, there's no better feeling. Like I'm not, I don't not say his name, I protect his privacy, but I had the roughest coaching call this morning with my client because I could tell what kind of mood he was in, and I've never seen that side of him. And he's ex addict, and he's trying to get his real estate license, and he's got COVID. I mean, there's so many things going against him right now. Work's crazy, and we got in there, man. Like I got real with them,
Nice.
and like real shit. I told him like David Goggins, I'm gonna come to your house. Like this is not a joke. Like I'm not standing for this.
I like it.
And
Yeah.
he texted me afterwards and he said, "Thank you, like thank you. Like you
Nice.
probably kept me from using again." Like, and he's protecting against that downside so much
Yeah.
that he's almost like holding himself hostage. But because he has somebody that's invested in his life and knows what he's going through and has been there, I can go right there. And he allows
Yeah.
me that. And so you can't put a price tag on being able to do that for somebody and his wife and his family and his mom and sister. And
Yeah.
it gives me that. I don't know, man. They say when you wake up in the morning and you need to jump out of bed, like it gets like. But here's the deal. You know what's funny? I could have, and it's, dude, don't get me wrong, it's a lot, like to go down there with people and fix their problems, but I can have like 7 coaching calls in a day, and I'm still like charged up afterwards. You're doing something that
You
Oh
know
yeah.
that is such a true feeling, man. And
yeah,
I think the last calls we've had have really motivated me because you can always do some kind of coaching and help people,
yeah.
right? And yeah, and it's really,
But
I think,
what they don't tell you, and watch, you're gonna text me in 2 months once you start, and you're gonna text me this text. But what people don't understand is you almost are fixing yourself while you're helping other people.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
I mean, it's like you're like, oh, damn, Austin, you're being a little bitch too. Like you're complaining, and like it like triggers it in me, and I'm like, you got to get it together, right?
Yeah.
Because even my coach, right, who has changed my entire life, is like, negative talk, can't do it. And so here's the thing: your friends are your friends. Your mastermind is your mastermind. But when you're employing a human being, whether you're employing him or he's just a friend, an accountability partner, he's all in. I am all in, good, bad, or indifferent. Look, and maybe I need to set some boundaries, but I don't care because I know this is my duty in life. If you're sitting there telling me, like, dude, like you gotta understand, some of my clients, this is no joke. They've been in rehab since they were like 15. Like, this is not a joke. If you're trying to tell me that you're gonna use again or drink again, dude, I'm getting in the Batmobile and I'm going to be there. I'll fly wherever I got to fly because you have somebody that's actually invested in your
Yeah,
well being. Not because you pay him, but because he's invested in who you are. And if you don't have that in your life, because I want to ask you, and you don't have to talk about it, Jeremy. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But I know your story a little bit, and I know you've been through a divorce. I'm sure there's some. You're on the West Coast, away from family. You're in the military. I'm sure there's some nights where you would really hope that you had somebody probably closer to you, right? To
Yeah.
like handle some stuff. Like, because I mean, technically you have your brother, which is great. I mean, that's an amazing thing. But like that's what people don't understand. It's like, dude, me, you, him, we all have our bad days, just like everybody else. But people see our social media and they're
yeah,
like, "Oh, Austin's just
Oh yeah.
always in a good mood." I'm like, "No, guys, I got a check yesterday that I did cartwheels out the bank because I've been waiting on it for 3 months. Like like I needed it. Like it was not a joke. Like I'm just right there with you, and I don't think people understand that because they see social media and they're like, "Oh, everybody's just so rosy."
Oh yeah. There's up and downs, but I think it's part of life,
yeah,
Yeah,
and the fact that like we mentioned before, you're
yeah,
trying to be an example for yourself, and you're trying to show people, that there's always greater things. you learn how to handle those downs. Where
Mm-hmm.
you know for a fact that when you're up, there's gonna be a down. When there's a spring, when there's a summer, winter is coming one day. So it's just a matter of expecting it and know that when you're down, that probably the next day is gonna be the best day of your life. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm down today, but tomorrow is gonna be a great day. It's just trying to shift your mind to it and and
Yeah.
and get better at it. That's pretty. And in regards to how you turn your life around
Mm-hmm.
and you created a business out of it, um, and is difficult when you're dealing with people's problems. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and and you made it a business and it's out of passion,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think that not everybody could become a coach. you
my
know
buddy, my buddy, my buddy. I was staying at his house in Denver 2 weeks ago, and he
yeah,
goes, "I would run my head through a brick wall
yeah,
before I would deal with the stuff that you're dealing with." It's just
yeah,
not in him. He's like,
no,
dude, you're helping this person, and this person's coming to you with this problem, but I love it because
yeah,
I can see myself in them,
yeah,
and I'm just trying to get them that much farther ahead than all this 22 years that it took me to get through my BS.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's pretty cool, man. So you came from a bad situation, you turned your life around. Now you have several and different types of um, income streams.
Mm-hmm.
You got your coaching, you got your Airbnb, you got your real estate business, and that's
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome, man. And for our audience,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's never too late to just make the sacrifice. Look at yourself in the mirror and be like, hey, this is what I need to do to set myself to the direction that I need to take in order to become what I need to become, you know. And that's pretty cool, man. So for our audience, man, where can they find you? Where can they reach you if they need help? If your story is very inspiring, and every time I see your videos online, you get inspired, you get pumped up, you got that energy that pumps people up all the time, and just like, man, I wanna listen to this dude, in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you also like into fitness too. So if people want to
Mm-hmm.
get, I've seen your before and after
Oh,
pictures and
oh,
your
just
current
wait.
picture.
I haven't shared this with anybody.
Yeah.
I was gonna keep it a secret, but y'all are special.
Okay.
So 75 hard. You know what that is, right?
Yeah,
I've
that
seen it.
trick,
Yeah, I've
right?
seen the post. Everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing that's 75 days in a row. Those workouts and everything. I'm doing it for a year straight,
Holy.
Nice.
So
just
you take it to
because.
the extreme. Yeah, that's
Hey,
good.
dude. Hey, look, my 40th birthday is next year. I got to get ready for the calendar shoot. You know what I'm saying? So, but,
So
but, but how they find me, dude. Yeah, the before and after pictures are insane.
yeah.
It's crazy. I look so much younger in the face. That's what blows me away. But how they find me is Instagram or Facebook, Austin Linney. The podcast is called Construct Your Life. If you DM me, I will answer. And honestly, I'll probably call you, which creeps out. Some of the young guys are like, "Oh my God, you're like calling me right now." I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Like, let's jump on a call. Let's meet." Like same way when I got y'all off mine, I was introducing you everybody. But
Yeah.
but I don't want to talk about myself because I'm gonna make you two gentlemen blush for a minute because since our interview, I've not stopped thinking about the two of y'all.
Oh, thank
And
you, bro.
and what I want to say to your audience, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up these two men's ass, but I think these two men right here are the true definition of what a human should be. And and the amount of impact that and the amount of work that y'all are doing and y'all will do in your community, and we're going to do it together. I think about on a daily basis because this conversation, the podcast, every piece of content that's coming out, I know that both of y'all are not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the people behind you and your family members and your society. And when I meet people like that, it just makes me want to push harder. It makes me want to keep putting out my stuff. Um, but ultimately, I just wanted to have it on record and say that, like, literally, like I don't serve in the military, but I feel like I'm serving with y'all. Like when I get up and I work out in the morning. So I just wanted to be known that like the respect level is like top of the grade.
Thanks,
Dude,
man. Those words
awesome.
means a lot. We really
Yeah,
appreciate that.
thank you so
And,
much, man.
and
You got it, my
you
man.
know, we got to do something together, man. We love being on your show too,
Oh, dude,
and
I already
your
decided
energy
that
and
this
your mindset is something
this
else.
yeah, no, this
Yeah.
bank thing, I can't get this bank thing out of my head. I swear. I'm like, because have you ever seen the show Billions? It's my favorite
No.
show. It's one of my only shows I watch, but they're like hedge fund guys, right? Like really rich effers, like really rich.
What channel?
And he's HBO, like it's an amazing. You'll literally turn on one episode, you won't stop watching.
All right.
Crazy shit. But they get to the last season that they filmed, and he's like, "Listen, we're rich, but we're not a bank." And he like looks at these bankers like in the corner, like laughing and shit. And he goes, "But we're not a bank, and they want to become a bank." That's what the whole season's about.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I'm like, yeah, that changes the game because then you control it from this
yeah.
aspect. Yeah.
Hey,
Changes the game completely,
for
man.
the audience and the what is it called, the people that watch our YouTube channel,
Mhm.
you guys got to listen to the episode that we were on his podcast and Austin's podcast,
Yeah.
because that's what we're talking about, you know, the behind joke that
Because think of it this way, and this is super important. It's a stupid point of view, but you'll get what I'm saying. We as people, guys, I'm about to tell this whole podcast the greatest thing on the planet. Like if you can wrap your head around this concept, your life will change. Stop being the consumer and
yeah.
Yeah.
become the person owning the asset that they consume.
Yeah.
Boom. Stop being the Black Friday shopper. Be the guy that they buy the Black Friday stuff from. It's
Yeah.
what I thought about all weekend.
Yep.
Like the dudes that are getting rich are the Amazon store owners, right?
Oh
like,
yeah.
I'm about to start one. Like I'm like, well, fuck it. Why not? Like because then you become you're no longer the worker, you're the owner.
Yeah.
That's how you shift generational wealth right there.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
absolutely, man. Yeah, become that banker, become that Amazon store, become that transactional guy, and that's where it's at, man. But brother,
Perfect.
thank you so much, man. We love having you on the show, man. Looking down in the future, hopefully you have a part 2. So let's go, let's make it happen, man. And
Yeah,
for all
thank
the
you,
listeners out there, give us a 5-star review and show us some love. DM us, show us emails, you name it. We love it. All right, we're out.